7:30, we call the meeting to order for May 8th. Would you please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one God, with justice for all. Thank you. Secretary, please record the roll of directors present. You have before you the minutes of the April 10th meeting. Are there any corrections or additions to these written minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we accept the minutes as printed.
Motion by Pat to accept the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Sean. Any further question? Any further comments? If none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried without dissent. Okay, standard motions for our meeting today. We have before you the regular agenda. To consider, first one on the list is to consider a variance request to exceed the maximum square footage of a detached structure on an R1 zone lot by 1,200 square feet. Property located at 352 Palm Beach Road. Dickinson, who is here to speak for that?
I am.
Would you come up to the podium, give us your name and all the particulars?
Yes, sir. All right, my name's Alex Clem, and I'm just filing for a variance to get a 40 by 60 shop out on Palm Beach Road. We have, I believe it comes out to 1.3 acres. So currently there's 2 extra lots that are just empty. I'd like to put a shop there, partially for my dad for his hobby woodworking, and then also to store like a project vehicle, 1964 Ford, and to get a compact tractor to maintain that lot.
Okay.
And there's a lot of comparables in the area, you know, a lot of large shops all along Palm Beach Road, which I noted in the initial permit request or variance request.
What would you say was the biggest hardship if this motion was denied?
I guess it would cause me, well, first of all, it wouldn't give my dad the space to pursue his woodworking. Currently, he's crammed in his basement, and he's always wanted a woodworking shop. So us working together to make it happen is really the only opportunity left. And also just for our yard, right now there's no space to keep like getting a compact tractor plus my project vehicle and just other yard maintenance items. We just don't really have the space to store it. And as well as there's no real value to us to have that land because we're never going to sell it or build any other structure on it. So at this point it's nice to have the space, but it's almost a burden just to maintain without utilizing it.
Okay, questions for Mr. Clem or comments?
Those 2 pins that are set on the property, everything to the south of that is yours then?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I did have an engineering and surveying company come out because currently there's 3 separate parcels, so that's been set in motion to combine those parcels. So I believe that should have come across someone's desk at this point for approval for that as well.
Leonard, do you have any comments?
This is the first step in order for, he will have to combine the lots in order to build this accessory structure. The city has received 1 phone call from a neighbor in support of his request.
Is there anyone else speaking for or against? And public input, if you'd like to call, 701-456-7008. Anyone wanting to call in? Any other public comments from anyone?
I guess if I may, I did take it upon myself to reach out to both of my closest neighbors to just discuss it with them even before they got the letter. And they're both in support and thought it was great for me if I was able to do this.
Good.
So,
Okay, good. Other comments, questions?
I just have a question, Cleveland.
Yes.
If we would approve this, are you okay with not being able to build any other detached structures on the parcel?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Anyone else? If not, is there a motion to approve or deny this request?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve this request as written with the added additional language that no other detached structures be built on the parcel, permitted or unpermitted.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Pat. Further discussion?
Just one quick
Yes, go
question.
ahead, Sean.
There's a current shop is that gonna be taken down, you said?
Oh, there's a small shed that I would take down as soon as I have the time and get this structure up.
Okay.
I believe, I forget, it's 10 foot by 12, something around there.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Trevor?
Aye.
Pat?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
And I'll vote aye. Good luck. Do a good job.
All right, thank you, I appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thanks for coming. Second on our list of, on our regular agenda, to consider a parking variance to reduce the required 8 off-street parking spaces for a summer after-school program to 0 off-street parking spaces, from 8 to 0. This property is located at 355 First Street East. Who's here to speak for that?
Hello again. I'm Krista Brandt from Happy Campers Daycare. I currently reside in 357 in the Kramer Sheet Metal Building, where we got a variance a few months ago for Happy Campers Daycare. Now we also rent the other half of the building from Mr. Kramer, and we are looking to, excuse me, start up a summer full-time program for school age and an after-school program for school age. So it would be Happy Campers Kids Club. We would be a group up to 30. We would host about 25 to 30 kids on a daily basis, full-time through the summer, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday. School year, it would be 3:30 to 6, just afternoon hours after school. Just as previously with our daycare, our parking requirement would be 8 private parking spaces, but as we've already discussed multiple times before, Kramer Sheet Metal Building was kind of put in a bind when the city sold their lot to the west to Ponderosa Liquor. So honestly, Mr. Kramer's building is in a predicament where there is literally no other land usage for parking. Our daycare does have the 4 off-street parking you guys approved in the back of our building. Obviously, myself owning both the daycare and the kids club, my staff would be able to share those 4 parking spots. In the month and a half we've been open there, my parents have been very respectful of surrounding businesses. We have not had any city complaints as far as I'm aware of. We have not had any personal complaints as far as I'm aware of, and everybody has been very respectful of the parking situation. One thing I just want to touch on is, as a daycare, I do hold a little bit of a different power over my customers. I have in my contract that this is where you are allowed to park. Do you have my layout available from my application by chance? All my parents respect 4th Avenue in front of our building and across the way. Hardly ever are they in front of Brown Insurance, hardly ever are they in front of the liquor store. In my contract, it is very well stated and highlighted that you will respect my parking situation, because obviously I've come here to fight for what I got, and I'm not willing to lose that or sacrifice that or put other businesses in a bind. So it is very much in my contract that parents sign that they will abide by my parking rules for my building. And so they have been very respectful of that. They have not went out of line. They have not had to been talking to. And I just ask that you will reduce our parking from 8 private spaces to 0 for the other half of the building.
Okay. Questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Sean?
with the after-school program or school, summer program, what, is that gonna function just like a daycare, or are you actually going to have events?
So we would be still licensed through the state of North Dakota. We would actually be the only school-age program licensed in Dickinson, which actually opens up a huge need for the community. We would be the only school-age program that could accept child care assistance. So I'm glad you touched on that. It would be obviously a daycare geared towards older children. We are not required to have a play space, so that takes care of that problem that we had, to deal with the daycare. They would very much be able to go over to Roosevelt to play. They would be able to go up to, I believe it's Simpson Park, 2 blocks up and 2 blocks over to play. We would host not events where other kids come in. It would strictly be for our enrolled children. So there would be 20 to 30 kids enrolled, and that's all that would come. There wouldn't be any extra kids in and out. Does that answer what you're getting at?
A little bit, but like parents-wise, would there be 30-minute program that they would be putting on where parents would sit there and park, or?
No, it would be the
'cause
same in and out of a daycare.
Problem was partly because of the extended parking issue.
Correct. No, it would
So
be
it's
just
gonna
like
function
daycare
just
where
like daycare.
it's a very quick in and out, 5 minutes or less.
Okay.
And then also being right by Roosevelt, we've actually had already at our daycare, when I have drop-ins for older siblings, we've had a few that attend Roosevelt, and with the extra staffing I have, we're able to walk across the street and get them, which eliminates a car in the process.
And this would have 25 kids, you said, roughly?
We could go up to 30. I'm
Okay.
looking at right about 25.
And
But
do
the
you think-
numbers in the parking variance are calculated for 30 kids.
Do you feel that would be different whether it was summertime or after school, or you think the same?
Summertime, I expect full enrollment, as there's definitely a summer need for school-age care. After school program, I foresee maybe 15 to 25, as after school is just not as much of a needed
Okay.
demand.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Other comments, questions? Public input?
Morning.
Good morning.
Jay Wilhelm, I've got what would be referred to as the old XL Cleaner building and the lot next to it. So far, I have to be honest, haven't noticed a problem. I am not 100% sure how many kids you have as of right now?
20
20?
and 5 staff.
And 5 staff, okay. The one thing I will say is I have noticed that in the back of the building where Donnie Kramer used to have his trucks and stuff, I have not noticed anybody ever parked there. I drive by several times a day, so I have not noticed anybody utilizing that parking in back. If things continue to run the way they are, I guess I don't know how much problem I'd have with it, but it really kind of makes me nervous going from 8 to 0. I don't know what else to say other than, you know, I appreciate what she's done so far. Definitely a need for both things in the city. I'm a little apprehensive and a little nervous because you all know what parking is like downtown. So I don't know which way. I don't have a real strong recommendation for you. I'm sorry as to I don't want it or I do want it. It's definitely needed, but it just, all I'll say is it just worries me because we've all had to come up with parking because that's the way it's zoned. And I don't know if there's anything else you can do as far as, you know, a temporary thing. I don't know. I'm not sure what to tell you. I can say we just haven't noticed anything so far. But
Okay, thanks, Jay.
Good morning.
Good
I'm
morning.
Don Height, and I have the King Shoppers Plaza across the street from the proposed businesses here. I'm going to say, too, at this point, I've not seen a problem with the daycare, and I'm monitoring it really close. With the previous business, we had a catastrophe. They just dominated my lot, and it made a real problem with some of my tenants. That's the reason I'm here. So the question that came up before is, if Jay and Don and I and the other businesses around, if we comply with the parking, why does this building not have to do the same thing as we do? I've not ever seen the owner of this building come forward and present his case here. It's always been a tenant, okay? So my question is, where are your employees going to park? Because at this point, we're seeing all of your cars are parked on the street. You're not even using the 4 spots. That's a question to her.
Okay. Would you come up and answer that?
I'll just say with the recent winter being over, we're actually looking at giving the parking lot paved as we have to per city code. We're not impeding anybody on the side of our building. We don't have a fenced play area at the moment. So we do actually put the cars there for a purpose, and it's so when our kids are outside playing chalk, they're not going into the street, and we're creating a little bit of a safety barrier there. However, my staff, I park in the back parking lot a lot, actually. I don't park on the street every day, but Mr. Kramer was here at the last meeting, and he explained that he was one of the first buildings in the downtown district to be down there, and then beyond his control, his parking was taken away when the city sold that lot. That wasn't any of his doings. But Mr. Kramer was here in March to defend his building because he's put in a place where if I can't rent it, who's going to be able to? And there's no promise that the next guy is going to go through the city like this. I'm doing everything the right way. I'm asking for the variances. I'm being open and honest about everything. I'm in communication with everybody. I follow code to a T. Leonard knows everything I'm doing. The city knows everything I'm doing. I'm not making any passes or being dishonest about anything, but what's the next guy gonna do? That's my question.
Okay, so we're still back to the problem of the city here requiring that you have to have these spaces and then making us come forward every time there's a new tenant to look at that tenant, which is not my problem. And then we have to go through the thing of voting on it. Yeah, I was not in town, so I was not able to be here on the last meeting. Okay, so my concern is that if this gets approved and at this point, we don't know how many cars she's going to have on the street. If she did say that, I missed it. That will be the new people. And then if this goes very well and she keeps adding more people to it, where are they going to park? And would there be something in the provision that says if she has 3 employees now, if she has 4 employees, she has to come back and we have to go through this variance? Because that could be very important. There could be 8, 10 cars there. I don't know. I'm just looking down the road, and there is nowhere to park around there except on the street in front of businesses or my lot or Don's lot. Okay? It's very expensive for us to keep up these lots, and therefore the tenants that are there that rent from us. This year, my snow and the repair will be close to $20,000 on that lot. Across the street, he has no cost to bear like the rest of us do. Okay? So I'm taking that into consideration also, saying, why is it that he cannot have to have the cost that the rest of us do, and then we have to come here and give a variance so he can have a renter? Okay, so my feeling is she is doing a very good job right now because we're monitoring it close. My fear is down the road and this thing grows and there is no way to control where it goes. That's all I have to say.
Okay, Don, thank you. Other comments? Public?
I agree with Don. I'm Don Paul.
Okay. Other comments or questions? Tough problem. Other, okay, come on
I'll
up.
just come back up and finish off. So in regards to the staffing issue, I somewhat bypassed that, I'm sorry. So with the school age program, we actually have a lot less staff. It's a 1 staff to 20 kid ratio. So if I do 25, I'm gonna have 2 staff on at all times. We're never gonna go above 2 staff at any point. You're looking at, again, with the whole sibling situation and even staff having kids. 3 of the kids that are going to go to the school program are actually my current staff who are already there. That eliminates 3 cars. I have several families that have older siblings that are in school. Well, what's the most convenient option in the summertime? Your kid goes to daycare here, 5 steps away is a school program through the same company. So that eliminates a car there. So you're actually not even going to see the full 8 parking spots at a whole time, you know, and 2 staff isn't going to make any mark on the street. And I've sat and timed my parents already sitting at the daycare, and I never have a car sitting there for more than 5 to 10 minutes. It's not your typical customer parking situation, just like every other business in town. It is a very much in and out situation. So the only cars that are there 24/7 during the day are my current staff at Happy Campers Daycare, which we already have a 4-car parking variance for, and for the school age program, you're looking at 2 staff staying. So that's what it's gonna look like. I don't foresee any issue at all. In fact, I sit out in the front of the lobby, excuse me, and I monitor the parking situation myself. I have no problem telling parents that they're in the wrong. My staff know where to park. They're not impeding anybody. They're not going to impede anybody. And like I mentioned just a few minutes ago, if I don't get this building, who's gonna go there? Because the next guy isn't gonna go through the city. I go through the city because I have to for state code. I am state licensed. I do everything by the book. I do everything by the rules. I don't bypass a single thing. The next guy, he can walk in, do whatever he wants, and he can have 50 cars worth of traffic at a time. You don't know what's gonna go there next. And I respect where they are coming from as business owners. 100% do. I get it. It's a hard game to play. but also it's not Don Kramer's fault that his building's in the predicament that it is. The city sold a parking lot, and that's the end of the story there. There's quite literally no other land to create parking for Don Kramer's building. And it's gonna be a sad day for Dickinson if they put him in a corner where he can't utilize his building because of a parking situation. But I appreciate your time. I hope you vote yes, but I respect your decision either way. Thank you.
Thank you. Leonard, does the city have any other comments?
Yes, the applicant has been doing a great job with the last variance request that you approved. This, the city's looking at this. This is a true hardship for these buildings here. Even if you look at the liquor store prior to purchasing the city lot, if someone else would have purchased that city lot, they'd be in the same predicament. So this truly is a hardship for these structures here, and the city would support a recommendation for approval.
Board members, other comments, questions for anyone? Yes, come on up, Chief.
I agree with what Leonard said, and parking in a lot of places downtown is a real, you know the word I'm looking for. I guess if you are intending on approving it, like I said, so far she's done everything she said she would. If you are looking at approving it, I would ask the same thing be done in follow through for however long this is gonna last. I would ask that it also be done only for this tenant, not as a permanent thing all the way through, so that if Don decides to sell the building or something happens down the road, you know, it really should be a case-by-case thing, in my opinion. And I would like for her, you know, what I'm worried about is, okay, they go through, they get the variance, so the parking issue for them goes away. Then they have the right to do whatever they want with the parking lot that is in the back of the building. They can use it for whatever they want, and nobody has to park there, and there's going to be no recourse at that point in time. That is what I want to stay away from. If you guys make a variance, handle it however you want, but try and set up a little bit of recourse in case we have a problem, and that, so it is for her only, not just for the building and forever.
Thank you. Okay. Don?
Okay, just so I'm back up here, so we're not clouding the issue. The issue is not about whether Don Kramer can rent the building, whether he can sell the building, or whatever he does with the building. The issue here is the city that says we need this many parking places for that thing, okay? So, situation ends up being, how does this get changed? Because it's not gonna go away. The burden is on us every time to come here and analyze the situation and look and say, do we think that business will comply? There's nothing in the code that says how you comply. So if this is approved, will we have something in there that binds her to complying with this thing? I'm asking Leonard.
Okay, so depending on the board's recommendation and how they move forward, the city is looking at this area. I don't want to call it an anomaly, but we have this situation. So the city is looking at rewriting some of the code to address this issue. This may be the only place in town that this is happening, but we're doing research to see if we have other areas. The applicant is correct. She has to go through the state in order to get city approval for this. The city does not have a business license, so another company could have moved into this building, and they wouldn't have, they could have just been in there, and we'd have to address the parking issues once something would have happened where we would have got some neighboring complaints, then we would address that that time. So we're moving forward and looking at this area and making some adjustments to the code. And that will be forthcoming in the next year.
Okay, so it will be that there won't be anything at this point to protect the other three of us or any of us business owners down there, is what you're telling me.
Well, the applicant actually in her contract has stated that she's actually protecting that interest you have in the parking. And I believe, based on no complaint, she's doing a good job at that.
Okay. That's all that I wanted. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Wright. Other public comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
I
sure.
do have a few additional questions.
Good.
First, is this the entire building now?
Minus the African market that's in the middle. I have nothing to do with them.
I can't hear you. Please come up to the mic and speak slowly.
Yes, I do rent the entire building minus the little like 20 by 20 African market that's in the middle. I
Okay.
have nothing to do with them.
Okay. So there's the potential that we could have another request coming if something were to change with that. Is that
That'd be
for
accurate.
the same? Okay.
I'll be honest, if they ever move out, I'm taking their space as well. That's my honest goal, is to just
Would
have the
that
whole
change your,
building.
would that change your numbers then?
No,
And-
it would honestly become like an office staff room. That wouldn't
and
be
would
any
that fall
daycare.
within any approvals that we had if she did that? Or
Well,
would that
as far as
require
office
her-
space, and she's not increasing staff, I believe it would, yes.
Okay.
And I just want to point out, just in the growth topic, I can never go above these numbers that we're talking because state licensing does limit you to an extent. As a group daycare, I can never go above 30 kids on each license. So it would be a max at what we're speaking right now. To go above that, I would have to completely switch licensing gears and avenues and switch into a daycare center, which I have zero interest in. I actually don't even have the qualifications for. So these numbers are capped. There's no more extra student enrollment after this.
Okay. If this is approved, obviously it's a permit would be granted based on our recommendation. If there was failures to comply or there ended up being a lot of parking lot issues, can that be withdrawn by the city? Can that be brought up as a question, or are we, once approved, it's approved?
Once it's approved, if there are any issues, the city would address it at that time, and we'd, again, check with legal as far as what the city, what obligation the city would have to move forward with the applicant.
Any other comments?
No, I think Leonard is correct. If you were to grant it, of course, if there are issues, that doesn't prevent a complaint from coming back in front of this board to reevaluate the current circumstance. And I guess the question then would be, if we're going to limit, certainly the city has the ability and the authority to limit the variance to this particular applicant and not in the future indefinitely. So that is an option to help with some of the concerns that some of the neighboring landowners do have.
That was gonna be my last question. This is for this applicant as it's being submitted as such, right? So if it were to change to something else,
Correct.
that would be
It is for this
completely
specific
different.
applicant, yes.
I think that's all I got right now.
Okay, thanks, Sean.
I don't have any questions per se. The parking lot in the back is already determined with the other variance and the other business. So just because it's the same owner, it's a separate, that wouldn't go away. The 4 parking spots in the back still has to be there with the other variance that we did. And then this one, with it being limited to 30 potential customers and that being a max of 2 staff, I don't see the potential for a huge blow up in the numbers, like she stated, and also taking into account how well the other variance has worked so far and how well they're followed through. I guess I don't have any other questions at this time.
Pat? Any further comments from the public? Anything further?
Nothing further.
Okay. You ready for a decision?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Sean?
In looking at this application, I think it's maybe the best case scenario for a type of business that can operate in a facility like this. I think it could be a lot worse with parking issues. And with that, I am going to make a motion to approve the request.
Any stipulations along with that? Or,
Well, the only
Listen.
ones that it's for this applicant and this use would be the, and if there's issues, I assume it'll be brought back
come
to
back.
the city and they'll have to handle it, and whether it comes to us
or to the city commission, I would suspect. Okay. Is there a second to Sean's motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would approve that as a second.
Okay, Pat, thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Sean,
Aye.
Pat,
Aye.
Trevor,
Aye.
and I'll vote aye. Make sure it happens. Okay, thanks for coming. Next on the regular agenda, to consider a variance request to reduce the minimum lot width for an R2 zone lot from 45 feet to 40 feet. This property is located at Lot 4, Block 2, State 6th Edition. Dickinson here. Who's here to speak for that? No one. You want to make some comments on that, gentlemen? Okay, Leonard?
The noted property, as the address that is on here, currently, if you drove by the property, you'd notice that a building is being built on there. It was permitted as a duplex, which is allowable use for that square foot of lot. The applicant wants to actually sell each side off separately, thus creating a single family attached. In order to do that, they have to, the lot width isn't adequate for single family attached. The neighboring properties throughout the whole street there were built in the same manner, and the lots are comparable to this lot. So at this time, with moving forward, the city would recommend approval following suit of the other properties in the neighborhood.
The other ones were approved.
They were built as duplexes, and whether they went through the city process in the proper way, they were sold off. And whether the split, I didn't do the research, the split came maybe later after the sale. This process, this is the proper way to do it. Right now, there's a legal building on the property as a duplex, and to split it off so they can sell, the city doesn't have an issue with that width.
No issues there,
Based on the other properties,
on the same area.
correct. This would finish there are no more lots right here that are,
This is the last lot.
this fills in, yes.
What are your wishes, board members? Oh, input, public input. Remember the phone number, 701-456-7006. Hearing none. comments? Denial or approve?
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we accept or approve the variance based on the fact that the building is partially in the ground and we probably in our best interest would see to approve it.
Okay, Pat, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Trevor. Any further discussion? All in favor? Oh, let's go individual again. Pat,
Aye.
Trevor,
Aye.
Sean,
Aye.
I'll vote aye. Okay. Number 4 on our list, to consider a variance request to exceed the maximum square footage of a detached structure on an R1 lot by 1,600 square feet. Property is located at 2915 First Street South, Dickinson. Who's here to speak for that? You've been waiting a long time.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Ron Tormasci. And I'm just looking to put up a shop there so that I have some place to service my equipment and store my tools. So right at the moment here where I have everything at home, everything is packed pretty good, so I want a little extra space.
Okay. We get this. Okay. Questions?
Ron, do you own that entire piece of property there?
Yeah, just bought it last fall.
Okay, and is there someone living in the unit there?
Yeah.
I have a
Jeff?
question.
Oh. Go ahead, Ron. You had,
Go ahead.
did you have?
The old garage is being torn down. That's where the shop would go, would be on that side.
Okay.
And then down below, there's, next year, I'll probably put up a house there.
Okay.
Is this one parcel or two parcels? You have it drawn up for the
Yeah, it's
future?
just one parcel, 0.9 acres.
Okay. I guess what, I'm not sure if we approve this, is it gonna mess it up to have them split it off, or how would you do that?
The property, based on just the septic alone, he would not be able to split it off. There's a very large easement that goes down the center of the property. So to meet the square footage for a septic system, it'd make it almost impossible to do that. His intention would be to remove the existing mobile home that's on the property to build a new house. So the sequence of, he could get a permit for this structure if it's approved by the board. In order to get a permit for his house, he'd have to remove the other mobile structure.
Okay.
Okay.
Leonard, have there been any neighbors, any comments or anything?
There has been no opposition. I did drive the neighborhood, I'm sure, like you probably have. There are some large structures out there. A lot of them were permitted when the county was doing the permitting. So I know there's a pretty large structure that would be right behind this one. And that is to the neighboring property, I believe, to the west,
Yeah.
that owns it.
Is there anyone in the audience to speak for or against? Not? No phone calls? Right. Okay.
Ron, do
Yeah.
you have any kind of an idea what this thing will look like?
It will be sided, but the structure may be steel. I haven't decided yet which way I'm going, but I want to side it so it matches like the house.
Okay,
You know, like
how-
with LP Smart Side, you know, like a lap siding.
Okay, how high are the sidewalls going to be on that?
I'm going as low as I can get away with. I just need room in there so I can put a hoist in it. So if the peak is, 12, 14 feet, that's high enough to put a hoist in. So probably 10, 12 foot sidewalls.
Okay.
Mr. Brin, the code regulates the height of the accessory structure.
Yeah, isn't the peak like 15
It's
feet?
15 feet, and you get extra footage if you're further away from a property line.
Other comments?
Just one real quick
Yeah,
question.
go
There, are you accessing this from the other street than that future house? You'll access this from the north, correct?
Yeah, the house would be on 29th and the shop is on First Street South.
Okay, and
So
then,
there are two entrances where,
and there won't be an issue with the city with the, being a corner with two entrances?
Based on the size of this lot, I don't believe that it is an existing entrance. He will, we talked, he would have to pave the first 20 feet on that property. Right now, I believe it is gravel.
Other questions? Hearing none, is there a motion to deny or approve Ron's request?
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we approve the motion here.
Motion by Pat to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Trevor. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Pat,
Aye.
Trevor,
Aye.
Sean,
Aye.
how would I? Okay, Ron, put it up great.
all right,
I know you will.
yep, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming. Anything else to come before the board?
Just a quick question with the two large shops that we've had. Is there any look or continuing to follow up on these large properties where size of structures as to whether that should be adjusted or?
It has been talked about a little bit in planning and zoning, but staff is looking at shop houses, detached structures, and similar instances like parking. That is in the process, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? Leonard, do you have anything else?
Nothing further.
Okay. Motion to adjourn. Sean?
Yep.
Sean, is there a second?
Second.
Trevor, we are adjourned.